A few quotes regarding mothers. A mother understands what a child does not say. A mother's hug lasts long after she lets go. I think we can all agree with that. Did you know that there is 2 billion mums in the world today? Some inspirational verses about Mother's Day. Proverbs 31:31 says to honour her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. In Psalm 139, verse 13 to 14, it reads, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well." Each of us were knitted in our mum's womb, and God has placed us in the families that He has. He has placed us with the mums that we have. When God created mothers, all as lovely as can be, He made one extra special and saved her just for me. And that's for all of us, for all of our mums. Today I have the privilege of interviewing, and I just want to give a big applause to Lisa, Cindy and Adrian. They're going to come up here and we're going to have a bit of panel time. So would you just like to give these ladies a hand as they come? Well, it is my privilege today to interview these three epic mums here. To start with, Adrian, we'll start with you. How many children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have?
Is this on?
Yes.
Oh, right. Now, what was the question again?
How many children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren do you have?
I have 5 children, but now I only have 4. But and I had 6 grandchildren, all boys, and I have 3 great-grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl.
Wow. Now, you may not know, Adrian did tell me last week that she actually turns 85 next month. She's an amazing lady. Cindy, how many children do you have?
I have 2, Samuel, who is 5, and Abigail, who is also 5.
Set of twins. And for you, Lisa?
I have 7, 2 boys, 5 girls, 1 daughter-in-law, 1 soon-to-be daughter-in-law, and 1 grandson on the way.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Now, before we get into the serious questions, I did just have some Bible trivia questions for you. No. Which mum saved her baby by putting the baby in a basket?
Moses' mum.
What was her name?
Oh, I can't think of her name. I know it, but I can't think of it.
Jochebed.
Jochebed.
Can we say that? Who was John the Baptist's mum?
Elizabeth?
Yes, correct. And which lady prayed for a child at the temple?
Hannah?
Hannah. Correct. Well done, Adrian. We're very glad you know all that since you taught our Sunday school for many, many years. So well done.
I've got older and the brain's going. It's not what it used to be.
Lisa, we'll start with you. Did you ever lose a child while shopping?
Not so much lost as left behind. We once left a 2-year-old in a playpen in a cafe. I thought she was in a pram, but it turned out it was the newborn that I was not used to having yet. So we did go back.
You can laugh. Yes, you can laugh about it today, obviously. Yes. Cindy, I know this is a special Mother's Day for you today, since you have your mum here in the room from South Africa. And last week you said it's been 3 years and 3 months since you last saw her. So a special welcome, Annika, to Dalby, to Australia. It's great to have you here with us. What is one thing, Cindy, that your mum always said to you?
She always said that parents make mistakes and that parents can ask for forgiveness too. And she said that so that we could learn to be gracious to our parents. She still says that to me today. on days when I'm having a tough time and on days when I'm being very hard on myself, you know, that I can go to my children and I can apologise and I can ask them for forgiveness.
That's awesome. Wise words of wisdom. Adrian, in your opinion, what is the most difficult season of motherhood and how did you survive it?
The most difficult season of motherhood, I could say the whole lot of it is from go to woe. You're right through, there are difficulties. And I think the worst difficulty is when a child is sick or in hospital and you have no control. There's no control there for you, and you just have to just let it go. You put your trust in the doctor. Well, I'll tell you now, I wasn't a born-again Christian. I was just I believed in God, and I didn't know that cast your care upon Him, you know, and He'll care for you. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know that you could pray for children until later, when I learnt that prayer was absolutely marvellous. What's it saying? The impossible will be done immediately, but the miracles will take a little longer. Well, the miracles, when they come through, it's good. But I'd say for not difficulty, have challenge. Challenge would be the word. We have nothing but challenges right from when we have our children. And I have a couple of little anecdotes. When my eldest daughter, she's only 20 months old, and one day I gave her a slice of cake. I sat her up on the chair, put her up on top and put a cake on the table there for her. And then I went back in the kitchen and I looked round and she was gone. So I went looking for her, and in the bedroom was a newborn baby, her little brother. And here she is, stuffing the cake into his mouth. And I stopped her and I cleaned up the mess. And then I said to you, well, you're a good little girl for sharing with your little brother. But he can't eat any of that because he doesn't have teeth. So she got it through then with, he doesn't have teeth, he can't chew. So she didn't do it again. Hopefully, I never caught her anyhow if she did. But another time, she came on business, very, very determined, walked through the back door, went to the bathroom, got a washer, went tearing out again. I thought, what the dickens is she doing with that? So I followed her, and she went over to where her father was milking the house cow, and she went up behind the cow and wiped its bottom. And the cow had just done a poo, excuse me, and she wiped its bottom. And I worked it out that she had seen me when I changed the little boy's nappy and cleaned him up. Well, in my day, they didn't have these wipes and everything. So, and I used to wipe his bottom, we'd clean it with a washer and clean it out and hang it on this peg in the bathroom. Well, that's what she did. Now, you laughed, and it's funny, but I could have had 2 deaths on my hand there. The baby could have choked if I hadn't gone in, if I hadn't watched to see what she was doing. And she went behind the cow, and if it wasn't Lucy, that was the cow, if it wasn't Lucy, well, she most likely would have been kicked. So what children do, they do in all innocence. So that's a mum has to do, your challenge. You've got to watch them all the time. And no matter what they do, suspect it. And if they're going anywhere, you've got to be the nosy mum and say, where are you taking that and what are you going to do with it? So there you are, you've got a couple of things. But another thing that I learnt when my eldest son was older, he came home, he was living away from home. He came home and he told me he's having a little bit of problem in town, and that he had to see this fella. So anyhow, I thought, all right, and I worried and worried and worried and worried. You know what mums are? Do any of you worry? No, of course you don't. No, mums don't worry. But anyhow, I worried, and then the next time I was talking to him, I said, the first thing I asked him was, what happened? What happened? Oh, I went back to town, Mum, and I fixed that up straight away. And I was worrying for a week. I learnt one thing: don't worry. As I say, cast all your cares upon him. He can do your worrying for you. But that's the thing, is basically, as I said, I didn't know God in those times, and I was flying solo. But now, I've got the Holy Spirit. He's on the controls. I'm the passenger, and it feels very good.
That's great, Adrian. Lisa, what did you have as a child that kids don't have today?
One thing I thought of was phones that are attached to the wall. My kids can't get their head around that. And the other thing I thought of was a real innocence that we had more that kids today just don't have to the same degree, just through society and life.
Yeah, very true. Cindy, what have you learnt through motherhood that you wish you had known earlier on?
I couldn't think of anything that I wished I'd known earlier, but what I didn't realise earlier is what a sanctifying process motherhood was. God really uses those little ones to bring to the fore those impurities that need to be outed.
Yeah, they bring out the best of us, don't they?
They're the best, and what needs to be gone.
That's right. Adrian, looking back, what's one thing you're glad that you did with your children when they were younger, when they were all at home?
Well, if you ask a question like that, straight away, I can't say exactly what I did. I mean, you got down the floor with them and played memory. Who's ever played memory? Good game. And anyhow, we played memory, different things like that. But, another couple of anecdotes. One day, my youngest daughter had a little girl home for the weekend, and when they were leaving to catch the school bus, the little girl turned around to me and said, "Oh, thank you, Mrs. Dempsey, for having me for the weekend. And I know the word that's used most in this house." I said, "Oh yes, Tammy, what's that word?" "Mum." I said, "All right, I've got that one." But in later years, I was doing a study to do a first aid course, and I was sitting in the kitchen studying there, and then some of the kids came in, and they sat down. I gave them a Milo, and they had something to eat. And then I got up and I went into the lounge room, studying. The next thing, there's one by one, they gravitated into the lounge room. And I got out and I went out, and there's a hammock we had between a couple of branches out the back. And I'm sitting in the hammock, and before long, I had kids and a dog all sitting around. And I thought, what's going on? Oh, you asked the question, what do they want? It's your time. Your time. And, you know, you're doing, mums are doing it all the time. Mum, hey, Mum, you know, you get it. And that's it, and you're available. And that's all there is about it.
Yeah.
Time.
Yes, time.
I think that's the only thing I've really, because there's nothing I can say that I did other than that.
You gave them your time.
Time.
Which you can't ever take back again then, can you?
Oh, they remember.
Yes, that's right. Lisa, for you, you're in a busy season, have been for quite some time with 7 children. How have you grown in your spiritual life? What do you do to read and pray every day?
I haven't always been great at it, I'll be honest. In more recent times, I've realised I've just got to be flexible. It's just got to, when there's a quiet time, which isn't always the same every day. I also find listening to stuff like teachings while I'm going about my day can be very beneficial and doable. Yeah, just flexibility.
Yeah. Any time, whenever it works for you. That.
Yeah, just when there's a bit of a quieter time, which sometimes happens. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Cindy, how can a woman best love and nurture her children?
Well, like Adrian said, give them your time. Give them your time, but also pray for them. I think that's the best thing we can do for our children is to take them to the Lord in prayer and just dedicate them to Him.
Yeah.
ask what we can do, what God wants us to do for them.
Adrian, what traditions did you build as a family?
None that I know of. But, basically, I think it was at Christmas time. Always had the turkey and the special fried rice and this punch called amethyst nectar. And the kids would ring up and say, "Mum, you're making your amethyst nectar? Are you making your fried rice?" Yep. So, but I wouldn't call it a tradition. But anyhow, in 2002, I'd been in hospital and I came home a couple of days before and I couldn't get Christmas dinner. So the kids got it, and what did we have? Seafood. So ever since then, it's been seafood salads and cold meats. And so if you can call that a tradition.
Something that's just stuck as a family.
Yeah, that's all.
It's very cool. Lisa, what is one thing you learnt from your own mum that you've taken with you on your mothering journey?
One thing I thought of was just the commitment to getting the family to church every Sunday, something that's very important. Sometimes it just becomes a routine, but it does instill that value in them and the importance of it.
And of course, your mum is in the building too.
Yes, she is. Yep.
So you've learnt from her and obviously doing the same now with your own kids, the importance of being in church, being committed, which is awesome. Cindy, for you, what is the greatest distraction affecting your life as a mum today?
I think we can all admit and agree that it's phones and social media, but I think also just the busyness of our daily lives. I think sometimes we're so focused on getting the jobs done that we miss out on those moments with our kids.
Yep. Precious Cindy. Adrian, do you think it's easier or harder to be a mother now than when you were raising your family?
Well, I think today it's harder because there's so much intrusion with on the computers and on TV, and a lot of the things that children are getting, they're not education but indoctrination, basically, practically a lot of the things. But the thing is, if you're a Christian home and you're taught Christian values, they then have the weapons to fight it with. And the same, and peer pressure and things like that. Well, my kids never had a lot of all that kind of stuff because where we lived, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have a telephone. They caught the school bus home, so they'd hardly ever mix with anybody. So, and that's what I think anyhow, that you can, just by raise them, as I say, if you raise a child, and that's the way he'll go, he'll go that way. So just do that, raise him in the Lord.
Yes. So I could sit and listen to you all day, Adrian, with your stories. I know last week when we were talking, you said that you didn't become a Christian until you were 46.
46, yeah.
So did you...
I believed in God. I believed in prayer, but that made a big difference.
So, I mean, in your parenting journey, it changed as well after that, do you think?
Pardon?
Your parenting journey, so as a mum, did it change for you as a mum after that, once you became a Christian?
No, well, it was my daughter that brought me to the Lord. She was an air hostess, or what do they call them now? Stewardesses or air flight attendants or whatever. And she came home and told me about it. And then she told her sister and told her brother. So it was basically through my daughter that I became a Christian. Oh, I thought I was a Christian, put it that way. I thought I was a Christian. But that's how I became a Christian. And then basically, well, they were all a lot older then.
Yes.
Most of them had left home and had their own lives.
Yes.
So
that's fantastic, Adrian.
Are you going to be finishing now? Because there's one thing I'd like to before we finish. That 20-month-old daughter again. When I went to hospital to have my second child, we left her with a couple in Dalby, and they had 4 children. And anyhow, back in those days, you had to stay in hospital for 10 days. They wouldn't even let you out, not even for Christmas, they wouldn't let you out. And I had my son the day before Mother's Day. So it was a week after that, and my husband came and picked me up. He used to go and see my daughter, and he came and picked me up and took me round to my friend's place. And she told me, she fitted it, the little girl fitted in perfectly. No bother at all. She was with the other kids. She ran round, she's calling me Mum. And don't worry, she'd stick up for herself with the others too, because she'd stand on her own 2 legs. But anyhow, when it came to me, when I went to give her a hug, no, she wouldn't have anything to do with me. She didn't know me. 10 days, and your child's forgotten you. Didn't feel good. But anyhow, I didn't push it. I just thought, you can't push a child, let it be. So anyhow, when we were leaving, we got in the truck. We didn't have a car. We hopped in the old truck, and it was a long bench seat. And my husband was behind the wheel, and my daughter was just standing on the seat, leaning on him like this, getting away from that person. And anyhow, she just kept looking at me, and I'd look at her and give her a little smile, and nothing. And then she leant over, and she just looked at me and just said, "My mummy." And I thought, that's the best Mother's Day present you could ever get.
Yeah. How sweet. That is so
So
sweet.
the little children say to you, "My mum." You know?
Yeah, wow.
Fine after that.
Yeah, wow. I'm going to put Cindy and Lisa on the spot here with this last question. For new mums or younger mums in the room, what would be one bit of advice you would give them?
I'd probably say everything is for a season, the good and the bad. And things you think you just won't survive, you usually do. And same for the good. Yeah, enjoy it while it lasts, because sometimes the good times do finish.
You, Cindy?
I think I have to agree with that. Definitely that you have to learn that it's for a season, and you will get through it. It will end. That's right. The tough times, you will get through them. You can do more than you think you can.
I guess I know for myself that, it feels like forever when you're in some of those tough seasons, but they do pass. And then I guess you grow stronger as a person, you lean in more on God in those tough seasons in ways that you never probably have had to before as a mum. So ladies, I would just like to thank you. I know it takes a lot of guts to come up here and sit in front of everyone looking at you, but can you just give a round of applause for these ladies today?